Here's the story.
Okay. Okay, first two verses.
First two verses, here comes Santa Claus. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane.
Here's the scenario. 12 years ago, probably tonight, 12 years ago tonight, Premier was crazy enough to come down to this boardwalk when everything you see here was boarded up. There wasn't a lamppost. There wasn't a person. There wasn't an open building, except for us doing Scrooge. We went and got a 30-foot tree. We put it out in the park across from the Paramount. We had a tree lighting. We had fireworks. We had caroling. And of course, we had to run the extension cord across Ocean Avenue to light the tree. Then we blew the fuse, and then we had to plug it into something else. Okay? There was a good crowd here, but compared to what you're going to see tonight, you are part of the tradition that's happened down here. You're part of what happens in Asbury Park at Christmas. You need to be proud of what you're doing, and you need to have that energy and excitement. All of you, all ages. How many? Some of you weren't even born yet, were you? Oh my gosh. Okay. So literally tonight, you're part of a tradition that literally Premier started in Asbury Park. I'm the founder and producer and director of the Premier Theater Company here in Asbury Park. All right, let's go. We're moving, people. They're all going to go along the boardwalk. When we came here in 2002 to do the first time we brought Scrooge to the stage at the Paramount, literally, I call it our plywood and pigeon phase, because everything was boarded up. There wasn't a street lamp working. There wasn't a business down here. And we were the only activity that was going on down here. And there were other activities, but basically there was nothing, and people were saying, "What are you, crazy? Why are you doing a show down here?"
Glad tidings we bring to you and your king. Glad tidings for Christmas.
We came in 2002, and I went, okay, we got to make something out of nothing. And people said, "Oh, it's not going to happen. You won't be able to do it." And I said, "Oh, really?" So had carolers outside, brought the local radio station in, and even got somebody to sponsor fireworks. So that's how we started Scrooge down here as a tradition in Asbury Park.
Do you have a favorite line or moment in A Christmas Carol?
I think each ghost has their own line that hits me a different way. And this is going to sound strange after doing it for 31 years, this show. Each night one hits me differently. And it's their message that hits me differently each time, for me personally. And it's the impact that it really does. And it makes you actually, I mean, if you think and listen to what each one of those ghosts say, and or what the nephew says or Isabel says, and these messages are so amazing, and they're still so timely today after this long period of time that Charles Dickens wrote this. And at times you question, how come we still haven't gotten it right? But the message there, and that's kind of what I think I love the most about doing this as a tradition. It's the generations now that have come, and it's made a difference, and hopefully they get the message and they share it and they pass it on.
in that beautiful sky.
You see, and you didn't want to come out this early.
Well, I don't mind being out. If we stayed up, I'd have been here. That'd have been cool. But getting up in the morning is the hard part. People I knew from like North Jersey, they went down the shore, you know, and around here, you go, nobody went down the shore, you just went to the beach.
Yeah.
But if you went to Asbury Park, you went to the boardwalk. It was different. Asbury Park was different from everybody, you know. If you went to the beach, you could go to the beach in Deal, you can go to the beach in Allenhurst, you can go to the beach in Belmar. You went to the boardwalk in Asbury Park. It looks a lot nicer than it did when I was a kid. It smells clean, you know. When you used to come in here, it was dingy and you know, it just looked like new. You know, it was just old and it had been faded and stuff. And the stores here back then, there was a pinball arcade over there. There was like a Criterion Candy little stand over there, and then there was a Planters Peanut thing over here. But they didn't seem like these stores are new and well kept, and they have clean windows, and they weren't. They were just old and kind of run down. Paramount Theater wasn't really, it was a dark theater. It was only open like once in a while. They certainly didn't show too many movies there.
Mm-hmm.
There was occasionally a concert there in the summer. But Convention Hall, the actual Convention Hall, they used to do, there were concerts there from when I was a kid. I saw the Kinks there, I saw Patti Smith there, I saw the Ramones there, I saw a bunch of bands there, and they were just like, you know, from the mid-'70s on when I was a kid. That was like in the summer, it was loud and raucous, but even inside there it was kind of run down. It was just sort of beat up and old in there. And rock and roll's supposed to be dangerous, it's supposed to be dingy. It was like an old roller rink. I mean, it just seemed like they just took old wooden folding chairs and put them in there and made a show out and stuff. It wasn't as exciting as, it wasn't as clean and modern and as rock and roll was now.
You prefer it back then?
Of course I do. That was the arcade right there, right here, where like the cool kids, the 14-year-olds who smoked cigarettes and drank and stuff, they played pinball in that arcade. There were a bunch of arcades. Like every one of the little pavilions had its own arcade, and every one of them sort of, some of them were the ones where the little kids went to, some of the ones where where nobody went to, but this is the one where all the cool kids went to.
Which one did you go to?
I tried to go to this one, but I didn't feel really fit in, you know. So I just, I was a roamer. I used to get on, we'd come down and we'd ride our bikes down and lock them up somewhere like around here, and then just go up and down the boardwalk and stop in at each, we'd start here at this end of the boardwalk and work our way all the way up to the casino, and there was a big arcade in there. And, it's a real short walk. I mean, what is it, like maybe a quarter of a mile? And we could spend the entire day just going from here to there and back, and maybe sometimes sneaking onto the beach too. It was a whole day's entertainment just to go that little quarter mile and back. When I was, 14 years old or something like that. It was really easy, man. You just lock up your bicycle, and they'd have like a little stations where you could walk in and, show the guy your beach pass. And they had senior citizens, these old guys, I mean, elderly men in like pressed white shirts and red bow ties and black pants. And they were checking beach passes. I guess it was a nice thing, but we didn't have any money, so we would just come and go halfway between like the two guys, and we would just hop over this fence, and we would just, we had like a standard uniform. We had cut-off shorts that you'd swim in. Nobody had bathing pants. You just have cut-offs and Converse All-Stars, a T-shirt and a towel. And that was all, and $2. And we would just like, hop over and just run into the water. And you'd kick off your sneakers and throw the towel and the T-shirt down, and you'd hop in the water. And these poor old men would come, like they'd see us, like you'd see like right here, that would be one of their stations, and they'd be blowing their whistle, yelling, "Stop that boy, stop that boy." And we would just laugh and run in the ocean, because once you got in the ocean, they couldn't find you. And then, you'd just, you'd be on the beach and you could do whatever you wanted then. And we did that like every day for the whole summer, man.
They never caught you?
Never caught us, man. They were just like, they were, I mean, they could barely walk, some of these guys, you know. They'd be like, you know, ah! I mean, looking back, I feel bad, you know, but at the time, it was just, you know, it was a laugh. That's what we did. Then I'm going to say 70 or 71, I was a little kid. My sisters were in high school at the time at Asbury Park, and they came home and they said there's trouble in Asbury Park or something. And then we listened to WJLK, the news, and there was like, you know, I guess it was like a race riot, and it started and it lingered for like 3 or 4 days, and you know, it was like in August, and all of those things that seemed to be so far away, you know, you'd see them on the newspaper, you know, in Chicago or LA or New York. They were right here in this little small town on the boardwalk, guys in gloves and Black Power salutes and everything, and it just sort of, I guess people got afraid and stopped coming to downtown, and little by little the downtown stores started to close up in the 70s. The boardwalk and the nightlife, this part stayed pretty vibrant for a while. I think Springsteen hit in 75, he hit nationwide, and Stone Pony was a big bar, and there was the circuit, you know, that were come down here on any night, any weekend night throughout the year. There were cars that would race up and down. They'd come down Ocean Avenue, turn right here past the Berkeley Carteret, go south down Kingsway Avenue, turn down First Avenue, and they do it all night long. You know, Asbury Park was always a town, even when I was a kid, that seemed to welcome the freaks. I don't know if it deliberately embraced the freaks, the lunatics, the outcasts, but they found their way here. The artists mixed in with the dangerous people, with the bikers. I mean, Mrs. J's, the bar that's right over there, was, you'd go up there on a summer night in 1977 and there were 60 Harleys in front, man, and they weren't like, nowadays it seems like, you know, dentists and accountants buy Harleys and they're beautiful and they're polished. These were hand-built bikes that people had put their life in. The pagans owned that bar, man. You know, I mean, I was this little skinny Jewish kid from Interlake, and I don't know what I was doing in there. I always think 1980 was a real turning point. Ronald Reagan got elected, and they closed like the mental hospitals, and they deinstitutionalized people, and they wound up in all these single-room occupancy SRO little rooming houses in Asbury and Ocean Grove, and the town got got scary, you know, because there were mentally ill people wandering the boardwalk and walking around this place, and the town got the boardwalk even got worse, and people stopped coming to the beach. And through the 80s, more and more stores closed on Cookman Avenue, and then it got worse. In the 90s, I mean, everything closed on Cookman Avenue. Cookman Avenue, you'd come down there, it was just, it was a ghost town. I mean, and even like, even down here, I mean, like, you know, you can even see these are all boarded up. These got boarded up probably in the 90s, these stores in this pavilion, and you'd come down, the rides got closed down, and most of the arcades closed, and a couple places hung on. The Howard Johnson's was here no matter what. Throughout thick and thin, you could always go and get a grilled cheese or a tuna melt there every day of the week. But you know, you see those old, it sounds prosaic, but those the tumbleweed towns were things. That's what it was like, man. Everything was boarded up around the boardwalk. The Stone Pony was like this one thing that sort of stayed, because it had sort of this iconic image. There were always bands there, but you'd come down and, you know, in a winter's night to see a band or something, and that was the only place that was open around. You know, when I was a kid, you'd go see, like, you know, I see the Ramones at Convention Hall, and there was a hint of danger. There was an element of danger. It went to being dangerous, where you can get knifed and killed at a rock and roll show in Asbury Park in the 90s. And they tried to redevelop it a couple times. You know, they had this plan. They built all these beautiful condos down by the lake right across from Ocean Grove. And like the contractor didn't pay somebody, so before they even sold them or opened them, someone torched them and the whole place burnt to the ground. And they were going to build all these high-rises along the ocean front here and bring in wealthy people to live there. And they built like the shell of a building, and then the financing fell through in the, I'm going to say, late 80s, early 90s, so it looked like images of Beirut after the Lebanese Civil War. There was just this shell of a building right on the ocean front that was here for 10 or 15 years. every time they come up with a redevelopment plan, you know, they'd have all these pie in the sky ideas. Johnny Cash was going to, Michael Jackson was going to invest here, and nothing happened, and it was just a ghost town.
Johnny Cash and Michael Jackson are both gone.
Yes, they are. And Asbury Park's here, man. Asbury Park's still alive. This was the end of Asbury Park, and the next town down was Ocean Grove, which was the polar opposite of Asbury Park. Ocean Grove, we called it Ocean Grave. It was very, it's a Methodist camp meeting town, and they had blue laws. You couldn't go on the beach on Sunday till noon. You couldn't drive your car on Sunday.
So how would you feel as a kid, like when you get to the end? Would you trespass into Ocean Grove, or would you stop?
We were terrified of Ocean Grove. It seemed like it was, you know, it was scary. Literally, it was scary to us. We never went beyond those 4 doors. They had these big blue doors with little windows, like 12 by 12 windows, and they were always closed. And we'd be like 12, 14 years old, looking at the window and looking at, everybody was so different. It was a lot of elderly people, these camp, but it was an alien world. And it was just literally, like I said, 100 feet away. So one day we were like, I think my friend challenged me. There was a little store right where in that building there, they had they have murals now, but there was they sold like beach accessories, you know, little pails and shovels for little kids and everything, and sun hats. And my friend dared me to go into Ocean Grove and walk into that store. And 14 years old maybe, we crept out the door and we walked into this little store, and we were like uncomfortable. We were literally afraid. We literally kind of scurried back into Asbury Park. I mean, it was amazing how fine a line it was between those two worlds. Those blue doors, you stepped into Ocean Grove, you stepped into like an 1890s Methodist camp meeting town with blue laws, and 50 feet this way was Asbury Park with the M&K, with its gay bars, with bikers. It was unique. I mean, it was interesting. I have no idea how that developed so much, but I mean, there was no transition. It just, boom, you were in another world. It was very cool. It's changing now, I think, but that's the way it was.
Okay, that one's coming all the way over here. Hands up high. Hands up high. Hold on the back. Don't have enough bodies everywhere. This is a day of working together in many different directions and many different things. Don't say it can't be done. Don't say I don't know what to do. There's always going to be something today to do. Those of you who are not part of the cast or you haven't done crew and you're here for the first time, thank you for being here. Thank you for helping out. And we got, like I said, more to do.
Father Christmas, Father Christmas, he's the meanest man in the old wide world, the old wide world can feel it. He's the master, he's the simplest, he's sitting on the stocking out for Christmas gift. Never seen a list, it's a shame. He gets everything.
Well, part of the system or process, I guess it is, as soon as we opened the show the year before, we're already planning how do we tweak it to make it easier for either the load in, because then we have the lights, we have the drops, we have the sound. So it's a matter of coordinating the people, the time, the scheduling of the building, the scheduling of parking lots available, like literally down to where's everybody parking to come and help. You know, we're really blessed that we have a great community, a team of people that help us out with everything. So it's coordinating which day, how many hours, and down to literally, is it a matter of can we get them all together at one time? That's going to be the most effective way to get that all done. And then we literally have probably about 72 hours to put it all together. It gets a little crazy, but it's a fun, rewarding experience. Once you see the sets up and, you know, you're talking 3 or 4 two-story sets, and all the things that go with it, and then decorating them. Oh yeah, we have to decorate that too. That's the other part that we do, and so it's a lot of people to put it together. Coming on stage, everybody. Children, go where you're supposed to go. While we're loading in the set, we'll be rehearsing possibly with the children in the back lobby, or then we're rehearsing at the same time with either some leads or some of the ensemble in the upper lobby, whether they're doing singing or dancing. Plus, we have all the set pieces and the props and the lights and the sound, and then the music coming in and the orchestra and the pit. So all of that is literally happening at the same time.
My name is Paul Eichlin. I'm a native of Washington, New Jersey, which was in Warren County, and I'm now in Ocean Grove. Well, this is really a busker type, street musician type thing, actually boardwalk musician thing. And I started actually July the 18th. And well, we started out with beach music and some regular show tunes and everything else, and it wasn't that popular. But when I got into this calliope style music, the people loved it and everything, and I've been continuing on ever since. I started out in the free zone over in Ocean Grove, and some people recommended that I get a license and come to Asbury Park and play on the boardwalk here. And I've been doing it ever since. It's been a tremendous success, and people just love it, and we just keep doing it and everything.
I'm Jen Hampton. I was born and raised in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I have been known to book bands and curate art shows and have a gallery and throw parties at Asbury Lanes.
Hi, Jenny.
I sit on a mural committee. I'm very opinionated about a lot of things that happen in town. Many roles, I guess.
Sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle bells.
What did you do when you first came to Asbury Park?
I moved here actually to work on Asbury Lanes, which was a project that a friend was doing at the time.
I'm telling you why Santa Claus is coming to town.
It's been 11 years that we had Asbury Lanes. I don't like to say it in the past. Have. It's been 11 years that I've been working on Asbury Lanes, and it's been a whole bunch of things to a whole bunch of people, but to me it's changed the way that I am and the way that I think. because of Asbury Lanes. It's been the catalyst for everything currently in my life here now.
My name's Johnny from Montclair, New Jersey.
Johnny, what are you doing here today in Asbury?
Just getting away from the madness, actually. This is very peaceful and good for my soul. Yeah, and I needed the little road trip. It always makes me feel good to be in Asbury Park and Ocean Grove. I've been coming here since the 60s, when my family used to come here for the Easter parades. We used to get dressed up, you know, have the double-breasted jackets and the Nehru jackets, walking the boardwalk. And it's come back little by little. Love the people here. Very more creative environment than maybe other shore prints, which are also nice too. But this has the best feel for me. And this is a nice day. The people are out, and you know, it's always art. Everything you look at, like you saw me looking around, taking photographs on my 3-year-old iPhone. But it doesn't get old for me. Just love to see the architecture, the work here. Miss some of the way, you know, it used to be, but it's coming back. And like I said, it's the people that make a place, you know, that give it its soul. So when the people are cool here, every time you visit here, it's always friendly faces and something artistic or creative going on.
And I know what you're thinking, you still think that I'm crap. But you better listen, man, because the kids know where it's at. In the city there's 1,000 men in uniforms. I thought they never had the rights to kill a man. They're gonna say, they're gonna tell you about the younger kids. And if I don't, then at least I try. Yeah. In the city. In the city. In the city. In the city, there's 1,000 things I want to say to you.
This is your manifesto?
This is I'm a famous performance artist. This is what I do. Except what I do is this. Did you ever hear the story of one? Kid one day, first day of school, first lesson. Lesson 1, letter 1, right? Everybody got it except a couple. They couldn't get it. One kid couldn't get it at all, man. He went home and his parents were so embarrassed they sent him far away to learn the letter 1, right? Sometime later he comes back and he says, I think I've known it. I got it. And he went over to the wall and he wrote the letter 1, and guess what? The wall cracked in half. What this is an artistic statement. If graffiti's okay, then it's okay. I mean, I'm coming on TV and doing it in front of you. I'm not hiding it. Go ahead, sue me. That's what I want you to do. Please. I need the publicity.
My name is Michael Valley. Most people know me as Pork Chop. And I live in Asbury Park. I've been here I lived here about 18 years ago. It's nice out today. And I'm an artist and I work construction, and that's pretty much my deal. This is the octopus lady, and I think I did it like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And it took about 25 hours or so over, whatever, a week. And I always like mermaids and you know, that sort of mythical sort of creature stuff. And I just thought it would be cool to do an octopus rather than a mermaid.
Yeah, you don't know how many people have come through here. They'll do a video, you'll see them on a bicycle, and they'll run through, and they'll just do it all like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they have all their individual pictures and everything else.
Yeah.
And all. You're probably all over the internet, all over everywhere. Yeah. Well, it's really a privilege to meet you. My gosh, yeah.
Yeah. I love your work.
Well, thank you.
I
admire.
I can always tell when you're here because it's a very distinct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you. I try to add my touch to it, too.
Yeah.
I never thought 40 years ago when I was playing the skee ball and doing all this stuff, and I've been doing it all my life and everything, that I'd ever be doing this. Life has a way of working one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at the Asbury Lanes on 4th and Kingsley, and it was a bowling alley since '61. And I guess about 10 years ago, they started having bands in here, and sort of changed it and made it almost like a music venue / bowling alley / sideshow, housing bands and burlesque and all kinds of stuff. So it was a great place to hang out. And now iStar, which is a development company, is taking over, and they had asked me to paint a mural on the side. So after going back and forth with them with ideas, we came up with this. And it's basically a woman holding a lighthouse, and the idea was that she sort of represents Asbury Park, and she's calling people back to Asbury. Kind of like the lighthouse is like sort of a beacon, you know. It is a little weird that it, you know, the place inside is going to change, but it's still a giant canvas that I got to paint on, so yeah, I can get over it pretty quick, I guess.
You know, I told myself, because we haven't been in yet, that I was like, oh, I'm not going to be like one of those weird, like, overbearing mothers that keeps coming to see what's going on. And somehow I'm like, okay, I'm not going to drive by it today. I'm not going to drive by it today. And then somehow, ultimately, I'm like, okay, just once this week I'll come by and see what's going on. But it's a little, it feels very foreign to me to not be able to get in, because for years I was the one that was like, the alarm's on, go check it out. There's a beer delivery, there's a this. I mean, there's many of us that would play this role as caretakers, so it's so strange to me to be like, oh, I can't get in to show you inside. Like, it just feels like it's like if I used to live here and I was telling you how great the inside of the house was, and I couldn't take you inside, so it does feel weird. It's the unknown that's the scary part, you know, because it's like, you want to believe that this will be the same, but in reality, we all know it'll never be the same.
You want to be a part of it too. That's the hard part.
Right. I want to be a part of it, and what's hard is the things that I'm asking for aren't going to be the same as what they were when I was there then, because it's like all those things that make you crazy, that are really stressful in your life, that you think like, oh, if I could just have this, this, and this, it would make it better. But the reality is, only upon alleviating yourself of those stressors do you realize that those are the things that make you learn.
You should have told me you needed a triangle player.
I think that's why I'm obsessed with music. I don't know how to do it. That's why I'm obsessed with art. I don't know how to do it. My mom, she told me when I was young, you're a muse, that's what you're gonna be. And I thought it was such a great thing to tell a kid until I realized what it meant. And then I'm like, oh, that's what it is to be a muse. You can't ever find your own.
But how does it feel? You don't really paint so much.
Nope.
You don't sculpt, I guess.
I don't do anything.
You don't. Hold on. Hold on. You don't play an instrument. You don't sing in a rock band.
No. It's hard to be an advocate.
But how does it feel to be the spoke or the center of the wheel that all of these other arts and artists kind of revolve around? Because you connect the dots. How does it feel to be the person that connects these dots?
I love it. But I know that I do definitely have dark moments where I'm like, wow, I'm just a failed artist and that's why I do what I do. Or I really wanted to, like, did I want to be a burlesque dancer? Is that why I'm obsessed with the culture? Did I really want to join the circus? Is that why I'm obsessed with the circus? Am I obsessed with punk bands because I wasn't allowed to go to the punk shows when I was in high school? Like, is this all just some weird psychology thing that happens when you're not allowed to do things or you can't? So maybe it's really just a selfish need for me.
The world according to Jen Hampton?
I think so, man. It would look way different. Every day would be a carnival, for sure. Paul's music would be playing all over the place.
One magic day he came my way, and how he spoke of money, fools and kings, as he said to me, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love, be loved, be
So what I want you to understand is there's a phenomenal history here, and that's what it was all about. And I forgot when I first started this 31 years ago that it was to become a tradition, and I didn't realize it was going to be a cool tradition with families and
when he had less gray.
starting out as younger.
When he had less gray hair.
Yeah, when there were pretty people and then they become that. But it's also the issue of it's a matter of us getting together every year and the madness that goes on here and everything else that happens, and you all have your lives and everything else. But I wanted to say thank you now before I become the nasty thing again backstage calling the show. That, you know what? all of you that are here for the first time or whatever, I want you to see this is what happens for years. The door's open to you, and it's open to your children down the line, which I know some of you are going to be like, I'm not thinking of that. Neither was she.
We'll eventually die.
Neither was she. Stop!
My name's Michael Chartier. I'm doing the role of Jacob Marley in Scrooge. I've done this show since 1991 for Mark. It's been a long and winding road, as the Beatles once said. But I'm what they call one of the regulars.
Do you believe in me now?
Yes, I do. What keeps you coming back?
His phone call. He says, Mike, I need you this year. That's what keeps me coming back. No, he's a good friend. And you know, one of the nice things about doing this show is the fact that there are a lot of people that go back as long as I have with this.
I can see him, he can see me. Happiness is whatever you want it to be.
I feel like this is a family here. I come back and always am welcomed with open arms, whether it's been a year or two since I've done a show or if I've only done Scrooge each year. But it's always just a welcoming feeling, and I love being on this stage, and I've turned it into my hobby. So I just love being here.
Thank you.
I make life a professional spree, eating food and drinking wine. Thank you who have the privilege to dine me. I like living the life of...
I've been doing shows with Mark for, this is actually the 25th year. Started in 1989 playing Shay and Evita, and brings us right up to through today with Scrooge. The first time that Premiere mounted Scrooge, I was young Scrooge, and did that for about 10 years, on and off. And then about 5 years ago, Mark came to me, Fleming came to me and asked me to play Scrooge. And I said, oh boy, it's come. You're at the end of your career when they ask you to play Scrooge. But Scrooge is pretty fulfilling, and this is the role that I wait all year long to do. It's a demanding role. I'm on stage start to finish, and probably one of the greatest roles I think I've ever had. I love at the end of a performance to be physically and emotionally drained, and I think there's no more exhilarating feeling than standing before an audience at the end of a show after you've given it everything you have. So I totally enjoy doing this role.
Okay, I can explain the surfboard.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so a lot of people ask this, this is just an example of some of the temporary improvements. I'm gonna get rid of this actually. We'll hide that. Old Asbury. This is an example of some of the temporary improvements that we put in throughout the waterfront community. The grass, the sod, the gravel. And we went ahead and we marked each one of the properties that's currently owned by iStar with a surfboard. There are two ways a developer, when you're working with a project of this size and scale, when you talk about 35 acres of property, there are two things you can do. If you want to be very direct, we put up a sign that says, iStar owns this piece of property. But that sends a certain message to the community that this is ours, and it doesn't really, we just felt like it didn't really blend with the spirit of Asbury Park. And so, we know that Asbury Park up at the north end has a surf community. And so one of the things we did was we just simply put a surfboard on each one of our pieces of property. We think that eventually we can work with local artists to decorate these different, each different board. And then what it does is when people visit the waterfront, it just makes them, maybe ask a question in their own mind. Why is that surfboard here? And as you drive throughout the waterfront, you see 20 to 22 different surfboards. And if you go to our information center, you'll see a map of the entire waterfront, and on that map are little tiny surfboards.
Well, Asbury has
has gone through maybe 3 roller coaster rides since I've been here. We're on another one. You feel it. Like when you're here and you're working in it, you can feel it happening. And every time there's different players.
When you look at the map, is you get a sense of the scale of this redevelopment opportunity and what iStar controls along the waterfront.
You know, one of the greatest resources that Asbury Park has, aside from its people, is the waterfront. It's a natural resource that the city, needs to figure out how to leverage to generate revenue for the entire community. I think the question, though, that's always in the back of my mind and other people's mind is, well, what about the west side?
I think all the parts of Asbury at some point have to be in that excitement together. It can't just be, okay, the ocean this year, downtown next year, west side this year. Let's all get to synergy where we're all ready to explode together.
Because it does take a lot of people to make something happen, and it was a lot of individuals that have gotten Asbury to where it is, and that's what's making it move forward also, and working with the developers. And it's just like putting the show together. You need a lot of people to do it, the ones that work well and play well, and the ones that are going to move it forward. And, hopefully this is going to be a very long run. We've actually watched the whole building change. We've watched the people and the crowds come, and that's an evolutionary process that Asbury hasn't seen in decades.
We're here, and I know what we're teaching our youth here, and they're the ones who's gonna help make this a better place here. And, I have some youth that have left, and they've come back.
That entrepreneurial spirit, that exists here today. And so for us at iStar, I think it's about taking what is already here and just elevating it to the next level. And not losing the spirit, not losing the eclectic nature of the community. Like I said, making it a place that people can come and be who they are. And ultimately, it's going to be a world-class destination.
If we can continue to leverage the energy that the waterfront develops and leverage that energy to affect change here on the west side, I think, 5 years, 10 years down the road, there's going to be a different feel here.
I'm always positive about the future of Asbury, because anywhere that there has not been the potential reached to its highest limit, you always have hope that it can get there. So Asbury is nowhere near the capacity of what it could be. We've got hotels coming online in the next year, we've got more development, we've got more business. So, when we get tired and say, all right, I don't know if I can do this another year, the seasonality of it is really tough on us and our employees, then you get a spark of something, and now it seems like something that might actually have some staying power for us. Minus government or all these other issues, we have more people coming here to live.
When you're looking at something that hasn't worked for more than 30 years, there is no easy answer. It's about commitment, about finding those solutions, and so pushback, although people don't generally want it, it's a good thing because it furthers the dialogue, and ultimately I think the community wins. That's probably the best way that we try to deal with it.
Are you a Bruce Springsteen fan?
I am. Who's not a Bruce Springsteen fan? But I love Bon Jovi too.
Well, as time marches on, you can't expect everything to stay the same. A lot of people would like it to and everything like that. Now, who knows? Maybe we can put this back the way it was, but that's up to, the people if they want to have that or not, if we can get somebody to do it and all. But as time marches on, we're in the 21st century now. It's changing. It's changed for the better. It's really good. And all. I mean, it used to be dangerous to come down here and all, and nobody would ever want to go up that way at night and everything. Now, there doesn't seem to be a problem day or night. It's all very nice, and everybody gets along very well, and everybody's very friendly.
are unanimous attitude is one of lasting gratitude for what our friend has done for us today. And therefore I would simply like to say, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. I may sound double Dutch, but my delight is such. I feel as if a losing war's been won for me. And if I had a flag, I'd hang me flag out. There you go. That is sort of final victory touch. But since I left me flag at home, I'll simply have to say thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very, very, very much.
Okay. So we have, I hope we have everybody. Do we have everybody? Can I have quiet again, I ask? Can everybody hear me? Okay, so there's been a lot of really cool things that went on in just really, what, 4 days? And if you add up how many hours total, what you've all accomplished, the basic thing is you've got to be quiet backstage, off stage, anywhere. I'm going to tell you the other thing that's amazing right now is we're past 0 in this theater. This is the biggest opening we've ever had as far as an audience is concerned. Well, here's the thing now. You've worked hard, don't mess around with it. Don't mess around, I'm talking. Just don't mess around. Every performance is anew. Every performance is a first time. It's their first time. They've paid to see you. Make sure you are on top. You've been given your notes from everybody. Think, think, think. Care, support, and help. You've heard it. You need to remember everything backstage. Think what the story's about. Think about what we all go through and other people go through, and think that you're going to make a difference tonight in somebody's life, whether you realize it or not. That's what this is about. So put that out there. You got to go all the way back to the lighting board to sing and speak. You better make sure you sell it. Energy beyond belief. It's not texting, it's putting it out there real. Live. Make it happen. Everybody ready? Yeah! Are you sure? Yeah! St. Genesius. Great. Places. I'm going to go talk to the audience and then we'll start. Break a leg.
I was basically raised in theater ever since I was a little kid. It's what I wanted to do. I did professional theater for quite a long time. From the time I was in my late teens to the time I was in my early 30s. Then I got married, then I had kids, and I said, well, professional theater really isn't going to pay me enough money to support my family. So for a couple of years, almost 20 years, I just switched jobs. I got out of theater. I was doing, believe it or not, I was a compliance engineer for electronic devices, testing them for electrical safety and things like that. This was 360 degrees the other side of what I was. And then within the past 5 years, I'm back into doing professional theater again. So I was a good father. I saw them go through school. I paid for their education. And now I have the time to go back into the professional end of the business, to revisit it, touch it again, and basically, hopefully, take up where I left off.
Funny you should ask, but the second redemption is this. It really is.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I was in Washington for 54 years. Things did not work out well, and in the end, I had to leave and everything. So it was a choice of where do I go from there. Well, I always loved this area, so I came down here. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be a success, But as things happen, sometimes it has become a great success. Sometimes you're planted in the wrong soil and you can't make a success of yourself. And when you move to the right area, you can become a success and all. So that is my redemption.
Do you have a redemption story that pertains to either your life or to Asbury Park?
I guess redemption is a kind of an everyday thing, isn't it? And once wrote a poem. I guess it's about redemption. It's each breath is a risk, a journey to the unknown, and yet I still breathe. It's about redemption, I guess.
We are exactly what you see, bruised and scraped up knees. Still we find our way. Some come as quickly as they go. Some choose their own roads. Still they find their way. And God knows how hard it is to lose. Pray to whichever one you choose, that you will find your way. Now we find our 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 way.